The crystal flute sweats against my palm as I lean in, the room humming with clinking glass and soft laughter. Somewhere behind me, a violin holds a note too long. The groom lifts his drink. The best man smiles. I slide the receipt under the coaster like it's nothing, like my hands aren't shaking hard enough to rattle ice. The paper is warm from my skin. Perfume and champagne and polished wood press in, thick as breath before a dive. His eyes flick down. Up. Down again. The best man's cuff brushes the rim of the glass, casual, practiced. A cough. A chair leg scrapes. The band hits the chorus. 7 words. Black ink. No erasing. The groom stills. The room keeps moving. I step back. My pulse hammers. The best man's smile doesn't reach his eyes. He read it once. Then he stopped breathing. If you're ready for a story about power, dignity, forbidden love, and the sweetest revenge you've ever witnessed, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this channel brings you the most addictive romance stories you won't find anywhere else. Drop a fire in the comments if you're team revenge. And let's get into this story. The room exhales after the toast, sound rushing back in like water after a held breath. Silverware resumes its soft argument with porcelain. The violin lets go of the note it's been strangling and slides into something lighter. Laughter blooms. No one notices the way the groom sets the glass down without drinking. I notice everything. That's the job. See what people miss. Carry plates. Carry secrets. Move through the gaps. I pass behind him with a tray balanced on my fingertips, my reflection fractured in 100 polished surfaces. He's composed again, too composed. Shoulders squared. Jaw set like a lock. The kind of stillness that isn't calm, but controlled. The kind men learn when calm gets them killed. The best man leans in, murmurs something meant to soothe. His hand rests on the table, fingers splayed, casual ownership. He laughs at the right beat, taps the rim of the groom's glass with one nail, just a tap, almost affectionate, and the groom's gaze flicks there. A correction. A reminder. I don't look at them too long. Invisible is safest when it looks like indifference. The rehearsal dinner glows the way money always does, warm light, deep wood, crystal everywhere. The tables are dressed to suggest romance without risking vulnerability. White linen, low candles, flowers tight and controlled. Security stands along the walls in dark suits that pretend not to be uniforms. Too many of them. Too close to the exits. Too far from the kitchen. I set down plates. Duck questions. Smile when spoken to. The bride floats from table to table, a practiced grace that never breaks. She touches arms. Accepts congratulations. Never touches the groom's glass. I clock that too. At the bar, a man nurses a drink he hasn't tasted. At the doors, another adjusts his earpiece, eyes scanning the room like he's counting heartbeats. When a server drops a fork, the sound snaps too loud, and 3 heads turn at once. Wrong reflexes. Wrong rhythm. The best man stands and clinks his glass again too soon. He wants to move things along. He's pacing the night like a conductor with a deadline. Another toast, he says, voice smooth, bright. To family. He gestures for refills before the applause dies. He doesn't wait for the groom. I pour. The champagne fizzes high and fast, bubbles racing like they're late to something. When I reach the groom, the best man's hand is already there, guiding the bottle, angling the stream. He controls the pour. He controls the pace. He controls who drinks and when. The groom watches him. Doesn't drink. I slide the tray away and feel the space where the note used to be like a phantom limb. My heart has not found a new rhythm. It keeps trying to sprint. Excuse me, the groom says softly. It's not meant for me, but it lands on me anyway. He rises, chair barely whispering against the floor. The best man's smile tightens. He moves to stand too, but the groom lifts one finger, polite. Final. They step aside together, a tableau of trust. Brothers, almost. The bride glides closer, hand light on the groom's arm. He leans in, murmurs something I can't hear. She laughs. Her eyes flick to the glass. Away. I move to the kitchen, where heat and noise feel honest. My hands shake as I stack plates. I steady them against steel and breathe through my nose, slow. The sous chef swears in 3 languages. A runner barrels past. Life continues. A minute later, the groom returns alone. He sits, picks up the glass, lifts it halfway, then sets it down again. He reaches for water instead. Drinks deeply. His pulse shows at his throat, a quick flash of movement that disappears when he swallows. The best man watches. Doesn't comment. He adjusts his cuff. Signals the band with a nod, and the tempo shifts, faster, brighter. Keep them moving. Keep them drinking. Security repositions. One steps closer to the groom's chair, not farther. Another turns his back to the room, eyes on the hall. The wrong way. The bride takes a call and moves toward the windows, face a mask of perfect concern. I deliver desserts. The sugar hangs in the air. Plates land. Forks rise. The groom's hand trembles once, barely there, then stills. Sweat beads at his temple, caught in the candlelight. He smiles at a joke and misses the punchline. The best man leans in again, voice low. I catch a word. Soon. The groom nods. He stands this time, faster. Too fast. Chairs scrape. Someone laughs too loudly to cover it. He presses a hand to the table, breath measured, eyes clear. He looks at me. Not at my face, at my hands. Another round. The best man calls, clapping once. He's already moving, already directing. On me. The groom shakes his head. No, he says. It's calm. It lands like a door closing. Silence ripples. Just a beat. The best man's smile doesn't break, but his eyes harden, sharp as cut glass. He opens his mouth. And the groom's phone vibrates on the table. He glances down. Up. He exhales, long, controlled. He sits again. I retreat to the edge of the room, my spine pressed to cool marble. My body knows before my mind catches up. This isn't a collapse. This is a countdown. The groom's breathing is shallow now, measured like he's counting stairs. His color is good. Too good. He looks fine, if you don't know what fine is supposed to look like. The best man raises his glass. To tomorrow, he says, bright as a blade. To forever. The groom lifts water. Drinks. Sets it down with care. I understand then, not the how, not yet, but the shape of it. The patience. The way the night has been steered, not rushed. The way the glass keeps being offered, and refused, and offered again. Whatever is in his system is waiting. The poison wasn't meant to kill him fast. The groom doesn't make a scene. He makes space. He stands again, slower this time, a man measuring gravity. Air, he says, soft, to no one in particular. The band keeps playing. The best man laughs and gestures toward the terrace like it was his idea all along. Outside, the night is cool and expensive. City lights blink below the railing. The groom grips the stone, fingers whitening, then releases. He breathes through his nose. Counts. I watch from the doorway with a tray I don't need to be holding, my knuckles aching from the weight. He signals for water. Not champagne. Not wine. Water. A server pours. The groom lets it sit untouched. He takes out his phone and types with his thumb, quick, precise. Sends. Deletes. Sends again. His jaw tightens, then smooths. He pockets the phone and smiles at the best man, a smile that shows teeth and nothing else. Bathroom, he says, and moves before anyone can offer help. I follow the flow toward the hallway, invisible among coats and laughter. The security there is wrong, too tight at the doors, too loose near the restrooms. One man steps in front of the groom, a fraction too late, then corrects himself, stepping aside with an apology that sounds rehearsed. Inside the restroom, the groom locks the door behind him. The click echoes. He stares at himself in the mirror. His pupils are steady. His skin is warm to the touch when he presses his fingers to his wrist, counting. He runs cold water. Cups his hands. Drinks. Waits. Nothing dramatic happens. He exhales. Just once. Back in the hall, the best man checks his watch. Again. He taps his phone against his palm, once, twice. His eyes track exits like a chessboard. He smiles at a passing ant, leans in to whisper something that makes her laugh too hard. He's tightening the night, pulling strings so fine you don't see them until you trip. A hand touches my elbow. I flinch. The bride. Can you bring a fresh bottle? She asks, voice low, eyes already elsewhere. She doesn't wait for my answer. I go to the bar. The bartender pops a cork with a neat sigh. The bubbles surge. I hesitate. Switch bottles. Pour nothing. When I return, the groom is seated again, posture perfect. He raises his glass, not to drink, just to lift it, and tilts it so the light catches the liquid. He watches the bubbles. Watches how they rise. He sets it down. The best man sees. Of course he sees. Let's speed it up, he says, clapping once. We're behind. Behind what, he doesn't say. Security shifts. 2 men move closer to the groom's table. Another blocks the hallway to the kitchen. The terrace doors close. A server tries to pass and is redirected with a hand to the shoulder, firm, smiling. Wrong hands. Wrong smiles. The groom stands again. Speech, he says like it just occurred to him. He takes the mic before anyone can stop him. The room hushes. He thanks people. Family. Friends. His voice is steady. He pauses at the word trust. Just a beat too long. He lifts the glass. The room leans forward. He doesn't drink. He sets it down and switches it with the water, casual, almost a joke. Laughter ripples. The best man laughs loudest, a bark that lands sharp. The groom finishes. Applause. Relief. Then he looks at me. Not my hands this time. My eyes. It's not a question. It's a check. A measurement. I meet it because I don't know how not to. Something passes between us, recognition without names, understanding without safety. He nods once, almost nothing. My phone vibrates in my apron. I don't have time to check it. The best man is already moving, closing the distance. Hey, he says, friendly as a blade. Can you grab us a bottle from the back? The good one. I smile. Nod. Turn. In the kitchen, the air is thick. I duck behind the walk-in and pull out my phone. A number I don't know. One message. Just a dot. Then another. Then 3 words. Still breathing. Slow. I swallow. Type back. What do I do? No reply. When I step out, the hallway is blocked. A security guard smiles and says, Kitchen's closed for a minute. His eyes don't smile. The groom's phone buzzes. He glances down. His hand shakes this time. He steadies it on the table, fingers spread. The best man notices. His smile dims, just a shade. He leans in, murmurs something that makes the groom's jaw tighten. Another glass appears at the groom's elbow. Champagne. Fresh. Untouched. The best man's hand lingers on the stem a fraction too long. The groom doesn't touch it. He reaches for the water again. His throat works. He breathes shallow, controlled. Sweat dots his hairline now, catching the light. He's confirming, piece by piece. Timing. Dose. Delay. Security closes in another step. The exits are now suggestions, not options. The bride returns, eyes bright, phone gone. She kisses the groom's cheek. Her lips linger near his ear. Whatever she says drains the color from his face. He stands. Too fast. The room tilts, just a hair. He steadies himself on the chair back. Smiles. Time, he says. Let's move. Of course, the best man says, already signaling. Cars are ready. I try to slip past the guard. He stops me with 2 fingers. You, he says, pleasant. Wait. The groom turns. Looks at the guard. Looks at me. Looks back at the best man. A beat stretches. Her, the groom says, voice quiet, iron under silk. He nods toward me. She comes. The best man's eyes flicker. Just once. Calculation. He recovers, claps his hands. Sure. Why not? Hands guide me forward. Not rough. Not gentle. Just enough to remind me where the edges are. The groom's breathing is shallow now, measured like he's counting steps. We move as one toward the private exit, the night closing in behind us. Engines idle outside. Doors open. The best man smiles, wide and bright. Take her with us. The car smells like leather and something metallic, sharp enough to sit on the tongue. The door shuts with a sound that feels permanent. I'm wedged between two men who don't look at me. The groom sits across, posture immaculate, hands folded like he's waiting for a verdict. The best man takes the seat beside him, close enough to touch, not touching. The engine hums. We don't move. Water, the groom says. A bottle appears. He drinks slow, controlled. It doesn't help. His pupils flutter now, just at the edges. He presses 2 fingers to his wrist again, counts, then stops counting because he already knows. He looks at the best man. Really looks. It's not fast, he says, conversational. You planned for that. The best man laughs softly. You always hated drama. The groom nods. Delayed onset. Non-lethal dose. Enough to weaken. Enough to slow me. He swallows. His voice tightens. Enough to make me movable. Silence. The car eases forward. I feel it before I hear it, the shift, the tightening of the night. The radios crackle. A sharp command cuts through, clipped urgent. The driver stiffens. The groom's phone lights up with messages he doesn't open. The best man checks his watch. Again. Then the sound hits us from behind. Not an explosion, too blunt for that. A concussive thud that rattles the windows and turns laughter into screaming. The car brakes hard. Someone shouts. Another radio erupts with overlapping voices, words tumbling over each other, panic stripped of polish. Service and trance, the driver says. Go, the best man snaps. We surge forward. Through the rear window, smoke curls where the ballroom should be. Alarms bloom. The band cuts mid-note. The night fractures. The groom grips the seat. His breathing is wrong now, too shallow, too fast. His skin has gone gray under the lights. He closes his eyes for half a second, then opens them and fixes them on me. Stay awake, he tells himself. Or me. The car fishtails into the drive. Security spills into motion, weapons drawn, faces stripped of smiles. The radios are chaos. North stairwell, unaccounted, lock it down. The best man leans forward, voice calm as a lullaby. He's compromised, he says into the radio. Medical emergency. We're diverting. Negative, a voice crackles back. Orders. The best man cuts the channel. He smiles at the groom. See? Complications. We don't make it 10 yards. A second car slams into us from the side, controlled, precise. Metal screams. Airbags detonate. The world goes white and loud and then snaps back into pieces. I taste blood. The door beside me is ripped open. Hands grab. Yank. I'm hauled out onto cold stone, my knees barking pain. Someone shouts my name. Someone else shouts a lie. She poisoned him. The best man's voice carries, sharp and clear. The waitress. A beat. Then it sticks. Guns swing. Eyes lock on me. I raise my hands, instinct screaming, body shaking. No, I say, and it sounds small. I warn. A shot cracks. Not at me. At the ground, close enough to steal the rest of the air from my lungs. Surgical. A command, not a kill. The groom stumbles out of the car, supported by a man whose loyalty is already negotiating. He pushes him away. Stands on his own. Barely. He points at the best man. He did this, he says. His voice wavers. He steadies it. He planned it. The best man spreads his hands, wounded innocence perfected. He's delirious. Look at him. Another explosion ripples through the venue. Closer this time. Glass rains. Screams crest and break. The night has teeth now. Move! Someone yells. The best man moves first. Toward me. A knife flashes in his hand, so quick I barely see it before it's at my throat. A whisper of pressure, not enough to cut, enough to promise. He leans in, breath warm. You should have stayed invisible. The groom lunges. Too slow. A guard steps in front of him, weapon raised, uncertain. Take him, the best man says, already backing away. She's the leverage. The knife presses. My world narrows to breath and the scrape of steel. The best man's eyes are bright now, alive in a way they haven't been all night. The mask is off. Another shot. This one lands. A guard drops, screaming, blood dark on stone. Short. Surgical. The consequence echoes. Chaos erupts. The groom shouts orders that fracture and fall apart. Half the security moves to him. Half hesitates. The best man uses the gap. He drags me toward the service corridor, footsteps pounding behind us. The groom staggers after, rage hauling him forward when his body won't. He reaches for me. Mrs. Don't, the best man says lightly, and the knife bites. I cry out. The groom freezes. We duck through a door and into the narrow throat of the building. The noise dulls. The lights flicker. The best man releases me and steps back, already calculating the next move. Phase 2 is messy, he says, almost apologetic. Phase 1 was elegant. Sirens rise. Footsteps thunder. The groom slams into the doorway, breath ragged, eyes burning. The best man smiles at him. You see now? The groom sways. He grips the wall, knuckles white. He looks at me, and something like regret passes through his face. Not for himself. The best man steps into the shadows, gone as if he was never there. I slide down the wall, shaking, blood warm at my throat. The groom sinks opposite me, breath hitching, the night closing in. Outside, the venue burns with sound and light. Inside, the truth settles, heavy and cold. The poison was phase 1. The corridor breathes like a lung, lights pulsing, air stale, the distant roar muffled to a dull ache. The groom slides down the wall until he's sitting, spine straight through sheer will. His hands shake now. Not much. Enough. I press my fingers to my throat. Blood slicks my skin, warm and real. The cut is shallow. A warning. Everything tonight is a warning. Look at me, he says. It's not a command. It lands anyway. I meet his eyes. They're sharp despite the poison, focus cutting through the tremor in his hands. He tears a strip from his cuff with his teeth, wraps it around my neck with care that feels almost ceremonial, and knots it tight enough to slow the bleeding without stealing breath. Thank you, I say, and it sounds wrong, too small for the room. He nods once. You didn't poison me. No. I know. Footsteps echo beyond the door. Voices slide past, arguing, searching. The corridor narrows. The space between us tightens into something intimate and dangerous. He closes his eyes for a count of 3. When he opens them, the man from the table is gone. The leader is back. He's aligned, he says, quiet. Not freelance. Too clean. Too patient. With who? I ask. A rival who needs legitimacy. His mouth tightens. Who needs my name without my consent? The shape of it settles. The wedding wasn't a celebration. It was a transfer. He needed you alive, I say. But weak. Yes. A breath. Delayed onset. Non-lethal. Enough to make me dependent. Enough to move me when the room was ready. And the chaos, I say, thinking of the thud, the smoke, the screaming. Cover. He nods. And leverage. He looks at my throat. Then my hands. Then back to my eyes. The understanding lands between us like a bridge neither of us asked for. The bride, I say. He doesn't answer right away. When he does, it's careful. She knew parts. How many? That there would be pressure. That tonight would force decisions. His jaw tightens. She didn't know about you. Or the knife. Did she know about the poison? A beat. He exhales. She knew there would be a test. We sit with that. The betrayal stacks itself neatly, cruel in its symmetry. Personal. Cultural. Strategic. A family ceremony turned into a ledger entry. A promise used as bait. The corridor light flickers and steadies. Somewhere, glass breaks. Someone screams a name that isn't either of ours. Why did you do it? He asks, and now there's something else in his voice. Not suspicion. Curiosity edged with respect. I swallow. My hands are steady now. That scares me more than the knife did. Because I watched him. I say. All night. He controlled the pace. The pores. The exits. He smiled when he should have waited. I pause. Because I've learned what control looks like. He studies me, quiet. That's not the reason. I shake my head. The truth pushes up heavy. Because I didn't want to be invisible anymore. I say. Because I've seen what happens when you don't interrupt men like that. Because someone once told me to keep my head down, and it cost him his life. He doesn't interrupt. Doesn't rush me. The space holds. I slip the note. I finish. Because I knew if I spoke I'd be stopped. And because paper doesn't argue. A corner of his mouth lifts. Not a smile. Recognition. His phone vibrates. He silences it without looking. He'll try again, he says. He can't afford to stop. Then neither can we. Footsteps return, closer now. A voice calls his name. Another answers. The corridor is no longer a refuge, it's a funnel. He pushes himself to his feet. The poison pulls at him, a tide he resists with posture and breath. He offers me his hand. I take it. His grip is steady. It surprises us both. Stay close, he says. The door cracks open. A guard peers in, relief and calculation warring on his face. Sir? The groom's voice cuts clean. Clear the north stairwell. Now. The guard hesitates. The groom's gaze hardens. The hesitation dies. We move. Down the stairwell, the noise grows teeth again. Sirens. Shouts. Orders colliding. We descend into a pocket of quiet where the air is cooler and smells like concrete and oil. He leans into the railing, breath hitching. Talk to me, I say, because silence is a cliff. The rival, he says, voice low. They need my name to settle old debts. A wedding is a seal. A poison is a leash. A scandal is an excuse. And the best man? He was the bridge. His eyes close. Open. He grew up with me. He knows where to cut. We reach the landing. He steadies himself. I step closer without thinking, my shoulder brushing his arm. The contact sparks something fierce and grounding. If we get out, I say, and hear the question under it. He looks at me like the answer costs him. Then he nods, once decisive. If we survive, he says, voice of owl carved in air. You don't leave. The stairwell hums. The night presses in. Above us, someone shouts. Below, engines idle. He straightens. The leader steps forward again, hunted and unbroken. We move. The exit yawns open at the bottom of the stairwell, a rectangle of night and rain-slick asphalt. A car idles there, engine low, door cracked like a held breath. Freedom is 10 steps away. Maybe fewer. He stops before it. The poison drags at him now, heavier, a tide that doesn't care about vows or plans. His hand tightens on the rail. He swallows, steadying himself, eyes never leaving the dark beyond the door. The driver glances back, question sharp as a blade. This is it, he says quietly. You can go. The words land clean. No pressure. No promise. A gift, wrapped in truth. I picture it, slipping into the car, vanishing into a city that eats names and forgets faces. A hospital. A statement no one believes. A life returned to small rooms and smaller expectations. Invisible again. Safe in the way safety pretends to be. Behind us, boots pound. Radios crackle. The building exhales violence. He turns to me then, really turns, and the space between us narrows until there's nowhere left to hide. His eyes search my face, not for loyalty, not for gratitude, just for the decision. He's giving me agency with both hands. If you stay, he says, voice rough, honest, you won't be a witness. You'll be a target. I feel the truth of it settle in my bones. Fear rises, clean and bright. It sharpens everything. And if I go? I ask. He doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The door bangs open behind us. A shout. A flash of light. The driver tenses, ready? The car door opens wider. I step toward it. My heart hammers. My body remembers all the times it chose survival over meaning, silence over consequence. It knows this move. I stop. The best man's voice carries from somewhere above, amplified by steel and concrete. Calm. Confident. He's close. He always is. The groom's breath stutters. He braces himself against the doorframe, pain flickering across his face and gone again. He doesn't reach for me. He lets me choose. Desire cuts through fear, sudden and unwelcome, not just for him, but for the version of myself that doesn't flinch. The one who saw the pattern and broke it. The one who wrote 7 words and changed the night. I look at the driver. Go, I say. The door snaps shut. The car pulls away, tires hissing on wet pavement, freedom shrinking into red taillights, and then nothing. The building roars behind us. He exhales, a sound that's half relief, half something else. Thank you, he says, and it's not for the note. We're not done, I say. My voice doesn't shake. No, he agrees. We're not. We move back into the stairwell, into the choke point where the night narrows. He leans into me for a step, then straightens, pride flaring. I take the weight anyway, shoulder under his arm, our pace matched by necessity. At the landing, I spot it. The service cart abandoned in the corner, radios piled like sleeping insects, a jacket draped careless over the handle. A guard's jacket. Keys heavy in the pocket. A phone vibrating with messages no one's reading. I don't hesitate. I grab the jacket, shrug it on, the weight of it settling like a roll I didn't know I was ready for. I scoop the radios, flip one on, listen. Names. Codes. Panic threaded with authority. The map of the betrayal unfolds in fragments, and I see where to cut. He watches me, something fierce and bright in his eyes now. You know how to do this, he says. I know how to listen, I answer. And how to interrupt. Footsteps thunder closer. A command barks through the radio. The best man is moving his pieces. I meet the groom's gaze. Fear is still there. Desire, too. But something else sits on top now, steady and deliberate. I press the radio to my mouth and speak. She chooses action. The radio answers me with silence first. Then confusion. Then names spoken twice, clipped and sharp. I keep my voice steady, borrow authority from the jacket on my shoulders and the certainty in my chest. North stairwell compromised, I say. Redirect. Boots change direction. The night bends. We move when the corridor empties, slipping into the service spine of the building where the lights hum and the walls remember everything. The groom's breath scrapes now, a shallow rhythm he forces into order. I keep us aligned with hand signals I didn't know I knew, listening to the radios tell the story out loud, positions collapsing, orders contradicting, a center that no longer holds. The best man surfaces in the noise like a shark fin, voice calm, directives clean. He's trying to retake the board. I wait for the gap. It comes when 2 channels talk at once. Hold, I say, cutting in. Stand down. He's with me. A beat. Then, who's he? Your problem, I answer, and hand the radio to the groom. He doesn't hesitate. His voice carries the weight it always has, even now. Stand down, he says. All of you. Some do. Some don't. That's enough. We reach the loading bay just as the second wave hits the front of the venue. Sirens, floodlights, the white glare of cameras and uniforms turning romance into evidence. Inside, the wedding unravels. Tables overturned. Flowers crushed under boots. Crystal shattered into a million small truths. The best man appears at the mouth of the bay, immaculate despite the night. He takes in the scene, recalculates, smiles. "You should have stayed quiet," he tells me, almost fond. The groom steps forward. He sways. Catches himself. "It's over," he says. "Put it down." The best man's eyes flick to the doors, to the lights, to the men who no longer look at him for instruction. The math changes. He reaches for the knife. He doesn't get it out. A single shot cracks the air, not loud, not dramatic. Surgical. The best man drops, breath knocked from job, the knife skittering across concrete. Hands swarm. Cuffs click. The smile finally breaks. Inside, the bride watches from the threshold, face pale, eyes dry. She meets the groom's gaze and looks away. Whatever vows were spoken tonight have already been answered. They load the groom into an ambulance. He refuses the gurney. Sits upright, chin lifted, oxygen hissing. The poison is still there, a shadow under his skin, but it's done what it was meant to do and no more. He will live. Changed. Wiser. Leaner. They ask me questions. I answer some. Not all. My hands are steady when I give back the jacket. Dawn finds us in a quiet room with bad coffee and the kind of silence that follows storms. He sits across from me, four taped to his arm, suit ruined, eyes clear. "The night's over," he says. "The war isn't," I reply. He nods. I know. Outside, the venue stands gutted by light and tape, a symbol stripped to its beams. The celebration is over. The transfer failed. Names will be said carefully now. He looks at me like a choice he's already made. I look back and see the line behind me where invisibility used to be. It's gone. Burned away. "You can still disappear," he says, offering the door without pushing. I shake my head. "I won't fit." A corner of his mouth lifts. "Neither will I." We leave separately. That's the rule. Different doors. Different cars. The same night stitched into our bones. On the street, the city exhales. Sirens fade. Rain begins again, soft and ordinary. I walk until my legs stop shaking and the sky lightens just enough to promise morning. No victory waits for me. No clean ending. Just survival. And the quiet knowledge that I will never be invisible again.